Hey guys, this is Jess. This is a quick little Quackers guide for speedrunning. This is going to go over some of the basic movements, the resources that we have, and then I'm going to clip together some of the most crucial parts from some runs to show you guys, the hardest tricks and bosses and what you need to do in order to get a good time. This is not going to go into great detail for all of those, because I'm planning to do a couple of smaller little guides for each one because there's a lot of nuance to them, I find. And I also just need to get a guide out in general. So this is happening. This is the Quackers version for PC. Hold that upside down. This is Quackers for PC, which is different from all the other versions except for kind of N64 emulator if you're playing that. Most of the tricks from PC are in an N64 emulator, but there's some from N64 emulator that aren't on PC. So with that what you will, but yeah, gonna get into it. So when it comes to the mechanics in this game, there's two versions kind of each world, where you either have these 2D side-scrolling sections or you have 3D like kind of Crash Bandicoot levels. But there's a couple important things to go over with just the movement in this game. For one, going downhill is a little bit faster than going uphill. But you can go even faster downhill by kicking down it. So typically, you have like an uphill section, you'll want to jump over it, but you'll want to kick down to get that little slope kick. And a slope kick is pretty important. You don't want to do it in every instance, I don't think. But in some situations, it can actually make the difference of like hitting a certain trick or not. So it's definitely important to like kind of understand the timing of it and how it works, where it's just right before you hit the ground, you want to hit your kick, and then you get all the speed, which isn't that much, right? It's not a whole lot of speed, but it's enough to make a difference for certain tricks. The way load zones work is when you hit a certain square, it'll load an object. So right there, I jumped over one, and because of that, I was able to jump onto this platform since it loaded a little bit later. So it started its cycle it started later, which means it was lower in its movement. And there's a couple instances of that throughout the run to be aware of, but that's the main one. When it comes to damage, typically every enemy only takes one hit, except for the pumpkins and the Frankensteins, where there's kind of a way around it. But typically what happens is you get hit and you have the state of invulnerability. And in it, you're not really getting much benefit, but it can be used for some damage boost, which you'll see in the little compilation at the end. But when you're in this Donald state, or this angry Donald state, it kind of changes your dynamics with your kick, where it can make you a little slower in the air sometimes. Alright, so if you're running the any percent category, this is probably the most important thing to learn, and it's probably one of the easiest things to learn. This is what we call load warping. And what it is you have this B piece, which is kind of what you just need to collect every level in order to progress, right? And if you collect it and you hold the start button, you'll go into the menu. And as you can see there, I buffered like a down input to go to the load. And for whatever reason, on this version of Quackers exclusively, you can just load a save file in the middle of the level, and it will bring you to Gyro's lab, but it will actually say that you collected the item. So here we're going to go and we're going to see that we actually collected the B piece without having left the level. And this is important because we just skipped like half of the level. And there's a couple levels where it saves like a minute of time. So that is probably the most important one. There are certain levels where it's supposedly slower to get a load warp. That would be 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, and 3-3. Those are all supposedly slower. I could be wrong, but that's what most of the runners are doing right now. There are some weird physics bugs in this game that we haven't quite figured out how to use in a run. One of them is this little hover state that we can get into with Donald on this corner. If I can get it like that, where he launches himself into the air. And you can launch yourself very high with it. Like, you can clear the hill on the side. And we don't exactly know what causes it, but it's happened on a couple different levels. I've actually experienced this a number of times with the hands on like 3-3, where I randomly just got projectile into the air and I didn't know what to do. So if someone can find a use for this, that would be sick. But for now, we don't really know what to do with it. Alright, so here's one of the milkshakes, and how they work is that when you pick it up, you get healed, and you also get like a rush mode where you go like 0.5 times faster, or 1.5 your speed. And this is good, but because there's a startup animation, sometimes it's actually faster to just completely ignore them. You also want to avoid double jumping while using it, because for whatever reason it actually can affect your speed and you will get less distance out of it. There's actually been a couple different milkshakes, like this one right here, that have been determined to be slower than actually just running to the end of the level. Barond actually released an excellent video comparing different runs, and the milkshake usage is on the Discord. There is an interesting kind of quirk with most of the items in this game, where you actually need to be on the ground in order to interact with them. So there's a sweet spot where you can actually jump into them, activate them, but not actually pick up the item. And there hasn't really been a use for it, especially because in most instances you just want to grab the item anyway. But you can actually, with a milkshake, get it to start like its sound and everything without actually activating it. When you get a B piece, they all collect in the center here, and when you collect all 4, you'll be able to fight the boss. But sometimes certain levels are not needed in order to get this. And we know that this is a bug because it's present on the N64 version with 4-2. We believe that there is one on the PC version, but we haven't found it yet. And it might be something where it's version specific, so I really recommend that if you try out this run, maybe even try it out on a different version than like what everyone else typically uses, just to see if like maybe there is something else. So when it comes to the resources for Quackers, we got quite a bit. We have a tool called Raymap, which you can use to look at every single level in Unity, and you can see most of the scripts and stuff, so you can help figure out how a certain mechanic works. We have a whole bunch of level select and speed monitoring tools, which are going to be on the Quackers Discord and on the speedrun.com page. And we also have splits that are shared through LiveSplit. Mine are personally uploaded if you wanted to use those for comparison, although I recommend just taking it and then filling in blank splits and then just going off that, because yeah. So those are there for you, but there's also a page for bug problems and like problem solving issues with Quackers, getting like troubleshooting game, which you can find on the wiki, which will be linked. Part of our patch to get it to work will also include a fix to add controller functionality. In this game, between keyboard and gamepad, there's not really much of a difference, except for like personal preference. Between top runners, we got a lot of people that play on keyboard and on gamepad, so it doesn't seem to make a difference competitively. It's just pure preference, and if you want to use one, feel free to. So when it comes to 100%, there's a whole bunch of really fun glitches and time saves in it, and I want to make a separate thing just going over all the different time saves and little quirks that we found just with 100%, because I think that makes it like a pretty fun run, just in terms of like, it's a lot more difficult, but at the same time, it's a really tedious run because you end up just repeating a whole bunch of the same levels and doing the same things. So that'll be a separate thing at a different time. Alright, so here's gonna be a compilation of some of the harder tricks in the game. I'm going to kind of show them to you right now, and in the future I'm planning on doing little videos on each of the different tricks just to kind of help show how to do it right. If you need help with it outside of that too, you can always message me either in the comments or on Discord. I'm on the Quackers Discord. I'm totally willing to sit down and help you figure out a trick. And yeah, thanks for watching. It's been really fun. You should totally join us. Even though the game has been uninstalled in a dormant state for decade. I think it's a big W. I think it's pretty interesting because I think behavior had like an animation with like timing and everything. No matter how like ridiculously realistic you make your model, making it look sick. One day I'll get that. One day. Of course I would get it! I got the Baron jump. FSR, which is AMD's like version of it, but not that great. If only we just made really strong hardware so we can do all these things without... Oh, camera's dead. Uh oh. Camera 2? Camera 2. This might actually be my most optimal version of this boss. This is crazy. I mean hardware and software. Yeah. Camera 2, I know, you get to see demo. The demo doggy. Alright, let's see if I hit this jump too. I hit it. Oh my god, this run. What is going on? You got them bent upwards. This thing where when I'm really tired, my like default pose for my arm is to like rapture it. Just pull it up, and like I don't necessarily, it doesn't bother me really, but it's also like really silly when I do it, and I catch myself doing it. Like sometimes at night I'm just like, why am I doing this? I can wait 30 hours. Had that. Got it wrong. I actually think that my Beagle boss is the most optimized. Some sort of basis of knowledge for everyone coming in. Oh, I almost died there. That was so close.